Dark psychology, a term that sounds foreboding, doesn't it? Yet, it is a fascinating field that reveals the hidden depths of the human psyche. It's not about the supernatural or the macabre, rather, it dives deep into manipulation, exploitation, and the darker corners of human behavior. To understand dark psychology, we must first appreciate how the human mind works, particularly the aspects that most people are oblivious to. Imagine you're in a crowded room. You glance around and see various expressions: joy, laughter, sorrow. But within those expressions lie motives hidden beneath the surface. The study of dark psychology is rooted in understanding those motives and learning how they can be used to influence others. It's about understanding how people can manipulate feelings, thoughts, and actions, sometimes without anyone noticing. As of recent psychological studies, research indicates that a significant percentage of individuals may unknowingly engage in manipulative behavior due to their background or emotional states. In fact, a survey published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that almost 25% of people admitted to using manipulation tactics at some point in their lives. This gives rise to the question, why? What drives someone to use such tactics? Often, it can stem from a desire for control or a deep-seated need for validation. Narcissistic tendencies, insecurity, or even the need for survival can lead individuals down this path. Yet, dark psychology isn't just a tool for malicious intents, it reveals how we navigate the complex web of human relationships. Consider the story of a well-known corporate leader, whose charm brought him immense success. However, behind the facade was a web of deceit, using emotional manipulation to undermine rivals and charm his way to the top. His case illustrates how charm can be a psychological weapon, bending others to one's will. As we delve deeper, we'll explore the various tactics employed in dark psychology, from gaslighting to manipulation. Each tactic serves a different purpose, but they all share a common thread: the ability to control another person's thoughts and feelings. By understanding these tactics, we can better equip ourselves to recognize them in our everyday interactions. Stay tuned as we transition into the first tactic of manipulation, which is widely recognized for its insidious nature: gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most dangerous tactics in dark psychology. At its core, gaslighting is about subtle manipulation that creates doubt in someone's mind. It's a slow burn, a gradual erosion of confidence and trust. Imagine being in a relationship where your partner gradually convinces you that your memories are incorrect or that your emotions are invalid. The term gaslighting comes from a 1938 play titled Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife into doubting her own sanity. That play brought to light how harmful this psychological manipulation can be. According to a survey by the National Domestic Violence Hotline, nearly 85% of those who experienced emotionally abusive relationships reported experiencing gaslighting. Why does this happen? Often, the perpetrator seeks power and control. They thrive on the confusion and dependency they instill in their victims. For instance, a study from the University of Utah showed that gaslighters often exhibit narcissistic traits, using manipulation as a means to feel superior. One studied case involved a young woman, Sarah, who was in a relationship with a man who often dismissed her feelings. Whenever she brought up something that upset her, he'd twist her words, telling her she was being overly sensitive or crazy. Over time, Sarah began to second-guess her feelings and even her memories. The psychological damage was profound. Victims often find themselves isolated, confused, and questioning their reality. They become trapped in a cycle of seeking validation from someone who systematically undermines their confidence. Not only is this damaging to the individual's mental health, but it also affects their relationships with friends and family. What can be done to combat gaslighting? The first step is awareness. Recognizing the signs can empower someone to stand their ground. Journaling experiences, seeking therapy, or establishing boundaries are essential tools in reclaiming one's sanity. As we wrap up this chapter, remember that gaslighting is often a precursor to more overt forms of abuse. So, what comes next in our exploration of dark psychology? The psychological game of manipulation takes many shapes, and in our next chapter, we'll uncover the world of emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail is a powerful form of manipulation, rooted in fear and obligation. Imagine someone saying, "If you really loved me, you would." This tactic plays on emotions, leveraging the victim's feelings against them. It's a calculated move to ensure compliance, using threats, often subtle, that create a sense of anxiety. In fact, studies show that people who engage in emotional blackmail often do so due to their insecurities. They feel a need to maintain control in relationships, fearing abandonment or loss. Emotional blackmail can manifest in various forms, from guilt-tripping to outright threats. For example, let's consider a common scenario: a parent who uses guilt to control their adult child's decisions. "After everything I've done for you, how could you let me down like this?" This emotional leverage not only puts pressure on the child but can lead to resentment building over time. According to psychologists, emotional blackmail can lead to long-term damage in relationships, as it fosters an environment of distrust and resentment. One prominent case involves a man named John, who was raised in a home where love was conditional. When he grew up, he found himself repeating the cycle by using emotional blackmail in his relationships. He would threaten withdrawal of affection as a means to manipulate his partners. This cycle left a trail of broken relationships and deep-seated issues for John, who could not reconcile his need for connection with his abusive tactics. So, how does one break free from this cycle? Recognizing that emotional blackmail is a form of manipulation is crucial. Establishing clear boundaries and seeking support from friends or a professional can help victims reclaim their autonomy. It can also be beneficial to practice assertiveness, learning to express feelings without guilt. As we transition into the next chapter, you will see how emotional manipulation can escalate into even darker tactics. Our next focus will be on the chilling realm of psychopathy and its implications in dark psychology. Psychopathy is one of the most misunderstood aspects of dark psychology. Contrary to popular belief, not all psychopaths are violent criminals. In fact, psychopathy exists on a spectrum, and many individuals function effectively in society. This category includes successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and even charismatic public figures. According to the Hare Psychopathy Checklist, a tool commonly used to assess psychopathy, the traits encompass shallow emotions, a lack of empathy, and manipulative behaviors. Research estimates that approximately 1% of the general population can be classified as psychopaths. While that number seems low, it's crucial to recognize the significant impact these individuals can have on others. Take, for instance, the infamous case of Ted Bundy. Bundy was charming and intelligent, traits that initially allowed him to evade suspicion. Yet beneath that facade lay a manipulative predator, who skillfully employed psychological tactics to lure his victims. His case exemplifies the extremes of dark psychology, illustrating how charm can mask malicious intent. Psychopaths often use manipulation as a means to fulfill their desires, devoid of regard for the consequences suffered by others. They may exploit relationships for personal gain, moving through life with an unsettling confidence. This behavior can manifest in corporate environments, with some business leaders exhibiting psychopathic traits while successfully climbing the corporate ladder. A study published in the journal Personality and Individual Differences found that CEOs scoring high on psychopathy were more likely to engage in unethical business practices. This raises an intriguing question: is psychopathy a predictor of business success in certain environments? It's a double-edged sword. While these individuals may be successful, the impact on their employees and colleagues can be devastating. As we begin to wrap this chapter, it's important to understand the potential danger of psychopathy and manipulation. But as we move forward, we need to discover how these tactics can intertwine, creating a more extensive network of psychological manipulation. Our next chapter will shift to the realm of cult psychology and the tactics used to control and exploit individuals. Cult psychology is perhaps one of the most extreme applications of dark psychology. Cults employ a sophisticated set of psychological tactics to recruit, indoctrinate, and control individuals. The methods used are multifaceted, often combining emotional manipulation, social isolation, and intense loyalty to the group. One infamous example is the People's Temple led by Jim Jones. In the 1970s, Jones created a utopian community in Guyana, promoting a message of equality and peace. However, this facade masked a deep-seated manipulation strategy. Members were isolated from the outside world, indoctrinated to believe that only Jones could provide them salvation. This control was so profound that, ultimately, over 900 individuals lost their lives in a mass suicide. Psychological control tactics employed by cults often begin with love bombing, where potential recruits are showered with affection and attention, creating a bond of trust. As recruits grow closer to their new community, they become increasingly isolated from previous friendships and familial ties. This isolation serves to strengthen the cult's influence, making it challenging for members to break free. Another significant component of cult psychology is the use of fear and guilt. As members become more entrenched, they're often subjected to harsh criticism for questioning the group's ideology. This tactic enforces conformity and discourages dissent. In many cases, members genuinely believe they are part of something greater, which can compound the psychological damage when they eventually realize the truth. Research indicates that individuals drawn to cults often share certain traits, such as low self-esteem or a desire for belonging. This creates a vulnerable population, easily manipulated by charismatic leaders. As we conclude this chapter, consider the chilling impact of cult psychology on personal autonomy and mental health. Our next chapter will dive into understanding how these tactics affect everyday relationships, revealing how manipulation can seep into our daily lives. It's often said that understanding the motives behind human behavior can illuminate the darkest corners of the human psyche. Enter the dark triad, a psychological construct that has captivated researchers and alarmed victims of manipulation. The dark triad consists of 3 personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Each of these traits contributes to a unique approach to manipulation and control, creating a profile that is as fascinating as it is frightening. Narcissism, identified by an inflated sense of self-importance and a deep need for admiration, leads individuals to exploit others for their personal gain. Studies have shown that narcissists often present themselves as charismatic and confident, drawing people in. However, beneath the surface lies a profound insecurity that drives their manipulative tendencies. For instance, in romantic relationships, a narcissistic partner might shower their significant other with compliments and affection initially, only to later employ emotional manipulation to maintain control. They thrive on others' validation, often leaving a trail of emotional devastation in their wake. According to research published in the Journal of Personality, individuals with high narcissistic traits are more likely to engage in deceptive practices to achieve their goals. Machiavellianism, on the other hand, refers to a personality focused on manipulation and exploitation. Those with high Machiavellian traits view relationships as a means to an end. A Machiavellian individual is not just content with manipulation, they take pleasure in the strategic plotting and scheming that comes with it. These individuals can often seem detached or cold, taking a calculated approach to social interactions. The Machiavellian mindset can lead to destructive relationships, where trust is replaced by cunning tactics aimed at achieving personal interests. An example can be found in the workplace, where Machiavellian employees may sabotage their colleagues to rise in ranks, deploying tactics such as deceitful alliances or disinformation. Finally, we have psychopathy, a trait characterized by a lack of empathy, remorse, and a profound propensity for manipulation. Psychopaths can be particularly dangerous, as they often possess charming exteriors that mask their ruthless core. Research by Dr. Robert Hare, a Canadian psychologist, has shown that psychopathy is linked to criminal behavior, but not all psychopaths turn to crime. Many thrive in corporate environments, leveraging their traits for success. A striking example is that of a successful CEO who, despite his charm, left a trail of devastated employees and destroyed lives, all for profit. The dark triad isn't merely a scholarly curiosity, it represents the potential for human behavior to slip into the shadows. Understanding these traits can aid individuals in recognizing manipulative behavior in others, but it also serves as a cautionary tale, an appeal to examine our motivations and ethical boundaries. The rabbit hole goes deeper when we consider that the constructs of the dark triad not only help identify manipulative individuals but also offer insights into self-awareness. Many of us may possess traits associated with these characteristics to varying degrees, and self-reflection can prompt a journey towards healthier interpersonal dynamics. Just as the dark triad sheds light on manipulation by others, it compels us to confront our own motivations. But as we turn our gaze outward, we must ponder, how do these traits manifest in our daily lives, and what can we do to shield ourselves from their destructive influence? Join me as we navigate this introspective journey into human nature. In the realm of human connection, love can be one of the most beautiful emotions. Yet, for those skilled in dark psychology, love can also be a weapon. Deceptive relationships, those built on manipulation and betrayal, are often masked by artful expressions of affection, making them all the more difficult to see through. Understanding how manipulation manifests in romantic relationships is crucial. Take the classic example of a love bomber, a person who overwhelms their partner with affection and attention in the early stages of a relationship, only to later withdraw that affection as a means of control. This tactic can ensnare even the most discerning individuals, creating a damaging cycle that can lead to codependency and emotional distress. According to a study by Dr. Tara Parker Pope, nearly 1 in 5 people have experienced love bombing, often leaving them vulnerable to further emotional exploitation. Another concerning relationship dynamic is the cycle of idealization, devaluation, and discarding, commonly associated with narcissistic partners. Initially, the partner is placed on a pedestal, celebrated and cherished. This phase creates a deep emotional connection, making it all the more painful when the inevitable devaluation occurs. The partner's flaws are magnified, they are criticized and manipulated, leading to a state of confusion and despair. This roller coaster can leave individuals questioning their own perceptions and self-worth. Research published by the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology highlights that victims of emotional manipulation often grapple with diminished self-esteem and anxiety. Meanwhile, boundaries are often eroded in these toxic relationships. Manipulators may use guilt or anger to force compliance, leading to a significant erosion of individuality. In many cases, individuals find themselves altering their behavior to maintain their partner's approval, losing sight of who they are in the process. This erosion of boundaries is particularly evident in relationships with gaslighters, where victims are led to doubt their realities. The emotional scars left by these experiences can lead to long-term psychological effects. Recovery from such deceptive relationships requires a profound commitment to self-discovery and healing. Therapy can be a crucial step in reclaiming one's identity and establishing healthier patterns. In doing so, individuals can learn to recognize red flags in future relationships, empowering them to break free from destructive cycles. As this chapter draws to a close, we recognize the resilience of the human spirit in facing these formidable challenges. But moving forward, we must ask ourselves, how can we foster healthier connections that are rooted in authenticity and mutual respect? Join me as we explore this next vital step towards self-improvement. Fear can be a formidable force, often wielded by manipulators as a tool of control. Coercive control, where fear is used to subjugate and dominate, can take many forms, from psychological intimidation to physical violence. Understanding this insidious tactic reveals the lengths to which manipulators will go to maintain power over others. Coercive control often manifests in abusive relationships, where one partner utilizes fear tactics to maintain dominance. This can range from subtle gaslighting techniques to overt threats of violence. According to a 2016 report by the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, nearly 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence, with many more suffering psychological abuse. Victims might feel trapped, unable to escape due to a constant state of fear and uncertainty. The psychological toll can be devastating, leading to anxiety, depression, and a sense of hopelessness. Within these dynamics, abusers often employ a tactic known as isolation, cutting their partners off from family and friends, making it difficult for victims to seek help. Real-life stories often illuminate the pervasive nature of coercive control. Consider the case of Emily, a young woman who found herself in a relationship with a man who at first seemed charming and attentive. Over time, however, he began to isolate her from her support system, carefully manipulating her sense of reality and instilling fear. Emily's story exemplifies how fear tactics can evolve over time, creating a complex web of control that is often invisible to those who haven't experienced it. Research has shown that coercive control can lead to lasting effects on mental health, including post-traumatic stress disorder. A study published in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence notes that survivors of coercive control often struggle with trust issues and an inability to engage in healthy relationships. As we delve further into this subject, it's crucial to recognize that breaking free from coercive control requires immense courage and support. For many survivors, this journey begins with understanding that they are not alone and that help exists. Resources such as hotlines, support groups, and therapy can provide essential guidance. We must become advocates for those trapped in these cycles and work to dismantle the systems that empower abusers while uplifting victims. As we move to the final chapters, we must confront a critical question: how can we empower ourselves and those around us to recognize and combat coercive control? As we near the conclusion of our exploration into dark psychology, we are faced with a moral quandary: is manipulation ever justified? The ethics of manipulation often hinge on intentions and outcomes, leading to complex conversations about morality and human behavior. At its core, manipulation can be seen as a way to influence others' thoughts or actions, which can be employed for both benevolent and malevolent purposes. For instance, consider the case of a parent using manipulation to guide their child towards positive behaviors. While the parent might employ guilt to encourage honesty, this form of manipulation can lead to long-term trust issues if mismanaged. The intentions may be noble, but the method can have unforeseen repercussions. On the other hand, we see manipulation utilized for nefarious purposes in sales tactics that exploit consumer behavior. Techniques like scarcity, urgency, and social proof can pressure individuals into making hasty decisions. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Research indicates that consumers often fall prey to these tactics, sometimes leading to buyer's remorse and feelings of regret. As we explore the ethics of manipulation, it becomes evident that the line between effective persuasion and unethical coercion is frequently blurred. Many professionals in fields such as sales, marketing, and even politics employ tactics that could be labeled as manipulative. Yet, these practices raise questions about consent and the potential harm inflicted on individuals. The debate continues: at what point does persuasion cross the line into manipulation? Effective leaders often navigate this minefield, understanding that ethical influence requires transparency and respect for others' autonomy. As we grapple with the ethical ramifications, it becomes imperative to cultivate a heightened awareness of our own behaviors. Understanding the techniques that can lead to manipulation empowers us to set boundaries and advocate for ethical practices in our personal and professional lives. But before we conclude, consider this: are we, in our quest for improvement and success, risking our integrity? As we transition to the final chapter, we must confront the challenge of integrating our understanding of dark psychology into a comprehensive framework for ethical living. The journey through dark psychology brings us face to face with the darker aspects of human nature. Yet, within this darkness lies the potential for resilience and redemption. Understanding dark psychology is not merely about recognizing manipulation but also about empowering ourselves and others. Those who have experienced manipulation and control often emerge with profound insights that can guide their journey towards healing. For instance, many survivors of emotionally abusive relationships report transformational growth, leading them to advocate for others, sharing their stories as a source of hope. Empowerment is a vital step in breaking free from the chains of manipulation. Learning to set healthy boundaries, cultivate self-awareness, and recognize the warning signs is essential for personal growth. Resources, such as therapy and support groups, can bolster this journey, offering guidance and encouragement. Additionally, educating oneself about the complexities of manipulation fosters resilience against future encounters. Knowledge is a powerful shield against those who would seek to exploit our vulnerabilities. Furthermore, the stories of redemption remind us that healing is a non-linear process. Individuals often encounter setbacks, but every step taken towards healing strengthens resilience. Take, for instance, the story of a woman named Sarah, who after escaping an abusive relationship, dedicated her life to educating others about healthy relationships and manipulation tactics. Her testimony not only provides insight but inspires hope for those still grappling with their circumstances. As we conclude this exploration, it's crucial to remember that the understanding of dark psychology should spur us into action that promotes awareness, advocacy, and education. Each of us has the potential to illuminate the shadows in our lives and communities. By fostering discussions around these topics, we can dismantle the harmful structures that facilitate manipulation and abuse while uplifting those who have suffered. As we take this knowledge forward, we invite deeper conversations about ethical living and empowered choices. Reflecting on our own experiences and nurturing those connections can lead us toward a brighter, more authentic future. The journey does not end here, rather, it is the beginning of a lifelong commitment to self-improvement, empathy, and integrity. It prompts us to ask ourselves, how can we each contribute to a world where manipulation is recognized, challenged, and ultimately dismantled? Thank you for joining me on this exploration of dark psychology, where knowledge and understanding lead us from shadows into light. Manipulation is often viewed through a sinister lens, yet it operates on core psychological principles. Understanding these mechanics can empower you to recognize and combat manipulation in your own life. Let's explore some of the most effective psychological tactics used in manipulation. First, we must consider the principle of reciprocity. When you do something for someone, they feel an innate urge to return the favor. This can be exploited in various ways, often leading to a cycle of indebtedness that can be hard to break. For instance, a company might give you a free gift to elicit a purchase later. It plays on our social conditioning to maintain balance in relationships. Another facet is the concept of social proof. This theory suggests that individuals will conform to what they see others doing, especially in uncertain situations. Imagine you walk into a restaurant and see a long line outside. You might assume it's good, prompting you to wait as well. Manipulators can fabricate social proof by creating fake testimonials or using influencers to endorse a product, leading you to believe in its legitimacy. Next, let's discuss the scarce resource principle. When something seems limited, we desire it more. This tactic is evident in marketing campaigns. Ads often declare limited-time offers to rush your decision-making process. A study published in the journal Psychology and Marketing confirmed that scarcity can significantly affect consumer behavior, highlighting how this principle often leads to impulsive purchases. Emotional appeals are another powerful tool. When someone plays on your emotions, it creates a realm of empathy that can cloud judgment. Consider an example involving charitable organizations. They frequently use heart-wrenching imagery to elicit donations. While the cause is often noble, The method can sometimes lead to manipulation when it plays solely on guilt or pity rather than informing individuals of fair practices. Moreover, the technique of foot in the door is incredibly manipulative. This involves making a small request that the subject agrees to, which increases the likelihood of agreeing to a larger request later. A fascinating case study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology demonstrates how this technique can be used in various scenarios, from sales to relationships. To delve deeper, we can examine the infamous case of the Milgram experiment. Conducted in the 1960s, participants were instructed to administer electric shocks to another person, escalating in intensity. The experiment revealed a terrifying truth: ordinary people could commit unspeakable acts of cruelty when urged by an authority figure, showcasing how manipulation through authority influences behavior. These principles aren't just theoretical, they have real-world implications. From corporate settings to personal relationships, understanding the mechanics behind manipulation equips you with the tools to withstand it. But is it possible to counteract these tactics? Can we defend ourselves against the dark arts of persuasion? By recognizing these techniques, we begin to develop a shield against them. Awareness is the first step towards resilience. What about those who wield these tactics with intent? As we continue to explore the depths of dark psychology, we unravel the complex motivations behind these actions. Each encounter with manipulation could teach us something valuable about not just the other person, but ourselves as well. In our digital age, social media has revolutionized how we communicate, but it has also become a hotbed for dark psychology tactics. With platforms designed to keep users engaged, manipulation is rampant. One significant phenomenon is the echo chamber effect. Social media algorithms curate content to match users' preferences, creating a bubble where only similar ideas are shared. This can reinforce beliefs, leading to a narrow worldview. A study from Nature revealed that individuals in echo chambers are more likely to fall for false information, underscoring the potential for psychological influence in shaping opinions. Consider the realm of online dating. Individuals often curate their profiles to project an idealized version of themselves, using filters and selective photos. This not only impacts personal perceptions but also alters expectations in relationships. Research indicates that the romantic dynamic often turns manipulative, with users leveraging crafted personas to attract partners, only to create a dissonance when the reality doesn't match the online facade. An example is the infamous Tinder swindler, who exploited online dating to manipulate women into providing him financial resources, showcasing the potential for manipulation in superficial connections. Then, we have the social validation that comes with likes and shares. This feedback loop can drive behaviors, often leading users to modify their actions to gain approval, demonstrating a form of social manipulation. A report from Pew Research highlights that social media users often experience pressure to maintain an image, leading to anxiety and depression. This is a direct consequence of manipulative tactics employed by platforms to keep engagement high. The correlation between social media usage and mental health issues is stark, with manipulation lurking beneath the surface. In addition to self-perception issues, social media is rife with misinformation. The speed at which information spreads can result in dark tactics being used for manipulation, especially during times of crisis. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, misinformation about the virus spread rapidly, leading to panic and confusion. Studies reveal that misinformation in health-related contexts can provoke real-world consequences, demonstrating the power of psychological manipulation. Further, consider the manipulation of emotions through targeted advertising. Advertisers play on fears, insecurities, and desires to drive sales. The concept of FOMO, or fear of missing out, has become a staple in marketing strategies, targeting the psychological aspects of consumer behavior. Advertisements often imply that engaging with their product is crucial to gaining acceptance or happiness, creating an emotional hook that is hard to resist. As consumers become aware of these tactics, a sense of resilience can be built. Understanding that our online experiences are often curated can aid in developing a healthy skepticism towards social media. But the question remains, can we navigate social media effectively without falling victim to dark psychological tactics? Awareness and critical thinking are vital. The influence of social media is profound, but so is our ability to resist manipulation. As we move toward the conclusion of our exploration, we must consider how we can harness knowledge to empower ourselves against these tactics. The next chapter will dive deeper into the dangers of desensitization and normalization of dark tactics in everyday life. Desensitization is a powerful psychological process that can erode our moral compass over time. Through repeated exposure to manipulative behaviors, we may begin to accept and even adopt these tactics in our own lives. Research from the University of Michigan highlights that individuals who observe repeated instances of aggression in media become less sensitive to real-life violence. This finding can extend to manipulation, as we observe characters in films and shows successfully employing cunning tactics, we may subconsciously adopt similar strategies in our interactions. A study found that individuals exposed to violent media were more likely to exhibit aggressive behavior themselves, demonstrating the phenomenon of social learning. On a practical level, desensitization can manifest in our everyday lives. For example, consider how we react to deception in relationships. Initially, a lie might provoke shock or anger. However, if you witness or experience deception frequently, your responses may dull over time. The normalization of dishonesty can lead to a culture where manipulation becomes acceptable behavior. A relevant example is the realm of politics, where manipulation tactics become so commonplace that their ethical implications often go overlooked. This desensitization is not limited to media consumption. It can infiltrate our social circles as we witness friends or acquaintances engaging in manipulative behavior without consequence. As we observe these interactions, we might begin to justify similar actions in our lives, leading to a decline in empathy and moral reasoning. Studies indicate that prolonged exposure to manipulative behavior can negatively impact emotional intelligence and our ability to connect meaningfully with others. For instance, in the workplace, when colleagues manipulate to gain favor or promotion, it can create a toxic environment. Once viewed as unethical, such tactics can become standard practice, leading to a culture of cutthroat competitiveness. This phenomenon is highlighted in organizations with toxic leadership, where manipulation is rewarded and integrity is punished. The psychological implications of such environments can lead to burnout and lower job satisfaction, as individuals grapple with the pressure to conform to these dark tactics. Furthermore, desensitization can lead to the trivialization of serious issues. Consider how we respond to emotional or psychological manipulation in romantic relationships. Initially, behaviors like gaslighting may elicit strong reactions, but over time, repeated exposure can lead to acceptance of such behaviors as normal. This gradual acceptance can lead individuals to stay in harmful relationships, harming their well-being. The effects of desensitization extend beyond personal experiences, impacting societal values. When manipulation becomes normalized, it undermines trust and authenticity in relationships, leading to a culture of skepticism. Studies show that in highly manipulative environments, individuals are less likely to cooperate or build meaningful connections, fostering isolation and disconnection. So, how can we combat this normalization? It starts with awareness and critical reflection on our own behaviors and the media we consume. Engaging in conversations about ethical interactions and cultivating a sense of responsibility in our social spheres can create a ripple effect. It's essential to foster resilience against manipulation and reinstate the value of authenticity and trust in our relationships. As we wrap up this chapter, it's crucial to reflect on the journey we've taken. The normalization of dark psychology tactics can feel overwhelming, but understanding can illuminate the path to resilience. In our next chapter, we will discuss strategies for building emotional resilience against manipulation and reclaiming our autonomy. Narcissism often appears as a polished exterior, but beneath that veneer lies a complex world of manipulation and control. Narcissists are adept at exploiting the emotions of others to maintain their self-image. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, describes narcissistic personality disorder as a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, need for admiration, and lack of empathy. This chapter delves into how narcissists use psychological tactics to affect their relationships and work environments. Consider the case of a successful company executive, we'll call him John. He was charming, always the center of attention, and his subordinates looked up to him. However, John's narcissistic traits led him to manipulate his team for personal gain. He would often take credit for their work and use flattery to win their loyalty. John's behavior illustrates the cycle of devaluation and idealization typical in relationships involving narcissists. At first, they may shower their targets with compliments and attention, making them feel special. But as the relationship progresses, the narcissist begins to withdraw that affection, leading to confusion and self-doubt. This manipulation technique, known as love bombing, can create a dependency on the narcissist's validation. Moreover, narcissists tend to project their insecurities onto others by gaslighting them. As studies show, about 1% of the population suffers from narcissistic personality disorder, making these tactics much more common than one might think. In a personal relationship, a narcissist might criticize their partner's looks or achievements, causing the partner to question their worth. This relentless erosion of self-esteem is central to the narcissist's control. The impact of narcissism doesn't only affect the immediate individuals. In workplaces, narcissistic leaders can create toxic environments and high turnover rates. Employees feel undervalued and unhappy, which ultimately leads to decreased productivity. To illustrate this point, a survey conducted by the Harvard Business Review revealed that nearly 50% of employees reported feeling bullied or manipulated by their narcissistic managers. This brings us to how crucial awareness and boundaries are when dealing with narcissistic individuals. Setting clear boundaries and recognizing manipulation tactics can empower individuals to regain control and foster healthier relationships. As we continue to explore the depths of dark psychology, we must confront the reality of how narcissism shapes human interaction and the importance of resilience in the face of manipulation. What are the repercussions of narcissism in society at large? Stay tuned as we unfold the intricate connection between narcissists and the dark paths they often walk. Fear is perhaps the most primal form of manipulation. It evokes a fight-or-flight response, triggering our most basic instincts. Understanding how fear can be weaponized is essential to grasping dark psychology tactics. From political leaders to marketers, many utilize fear to influence decisions and behaviors. A famous example is the advertisement campaign during World War II, where individuals were encouraged to report suspicious activity, effectively cultivating a culture of paranoia. One dramatic instance of fear manipulation occurred during the post-9/11 era. Following the attacks, the U.S. government heightened its focus on national security, constantly reminding citizens of potential terrorist threats. This climate of fear led many to sacrifice personal freedoms in exchange for a false sense of security. This chapter explores fear tactics utilized in various domains, including politics, advertising, and even personal relationships. For instance, in romantic entanglements, one partner might invoke fear to maintain control, suggesting that the other could lose them or their relationship if they don't comply with certain demands. Research has shown that fear appeals can influence decision-making. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that individuals exposed to fear-inducing messages were more likely to make hasty purchases as a means to alleviate their anxiety. Moreover, the media often exacerbates this dynamic by sensationalizing stories. Headlines filled with fear-based language attract more viewers, leading to a cycle where society is kept in a constant state of anxiety. What can be done to mitigate these tactics? Recognizing the role of fear in manipulation is the first step toward reclaiming control. Building emotional resilience through techniques such as mindfulness and critical thinking can significantly reduce vulnerability to fear-based manipulation. Setting personal boundaries and creating healthy dialogues within relationships can also buffer against this tactic. In our next chapter, we will delve deeper into the implications of fear and manipulation, particularly focusing on its effects on mental health and societal norms. How does fear define our reality, and can we break the chains it places on us? Stay tuned as we uncover this unsettling truth. Among the myriad of dark psychology tactics, covert aggression stands out as one of the most insidious forms. Unlike overt aggression, which is clear and direct, covert aggression operates in the shadows, often leaving its victim bewildered and questioning their perceptions. This chapter seeks to uncover the intricate web of covert aggression, what it is, how it manifests, and the profound impact it can have on individuals. One can equate it to the proverbial death by 1,000 paper cuts. Take, for example, a high school environment. There's a student, we'll call her Sarah, who is targeted by a group of girls. Instead of overt bullying, they engage in subtle tactics, exclusion from social events, backhanded compliments, and gossip. Covert aggressors thrive in environments where ambiguity reigns. They often operate under a facade of innocence, leaving their victims unsure about whether they are being targeted. This uncertainty can lead to heightened anxiety, paranoia, and even depression, as victims grapple with claims of overreacting or being too sensitive. Research has shown that social connectivity is often leveraged in covert aggression, exploiting the very relationships that are supposed to provide support. In a corporate setting, a colleague might undercut another's ideas in meetings, laughing it off as a joke, while subtly undermining that individual's authority. This behavior fosters a toxic work environment where employees feel demotivated and undervalued. Statistics indicate that nearly 50% of workplace bullying involves covert tactics, which makes it critical to address and identify these behaviors. Victims of covert aggression often feel isolated and unsure of how to respond. Building awareness of these tactics is crucial in developing a plan for addressing them. Empowering individuals through assertiveness training and open discussions about mental health can significantly mitigate their effects. As we explore the ramifications of covert aggression, one must ask, how can we foster environments that discourage such behaviors? The answer lies in collective awareness and the willingness to confront the subtle aggressions that permeate our daily lives. Join me as we unravel how society can combat covert aggression and build a more supportive community. Trust is the foundation of all human relationships. It shapes our connections with friends, family, and even strangers. But what happens when trust is weaponized? The manipulation of trust is one of the most insidious forms of dark psychology, where deception becomes a tool for exploitation. Take, for instance, the case of Anna Sorokin, also known as Anna Delvey. This con artist posed as a wealthy socialite in New York City, weaving an intricate web of deception that entrapped friends and financial institutions alike. She created a facade of trustworthiness by throwing lavish parties, staying in high-end hotels, and befriending influential individuals. Sorokin's ability to manipulate trust led her to steal over $275,000, showcasing how effectively someone can exploit the willing vulnerability of others. At the core of trust manipulation is the concept of betrayal. Betrayal can take many forms, whether it's a partner cheating in a relationship, a friend spreading rumors, or a colleague taking credit for your work. Each betrayal leaves emotional scars and can lead to a broader distrust in human interactions. Research has shown that betrayal activates similar brain circuits as physical pain, highlighting its profound impact on our psychological well-being. Trust manipulation often occurs in high-stakes environments, such as business. The Enron scandal serves as a stark reminder of how corporate greed can lead to widespread deceit, robbing employees and investors of their livelihoods. The executives manipulated trust by creating a false image of profitability, leading to one of the largest bankruptcies in U.S. history. How can we safeguard against such manipulations? Building a solid foundation of healthy skepticism while nurturing genuine relationships is critical. Understanding the signs that someone may be untrustworthy can act as a protective mechanism. What if we could harness the power of trust without falling victim to its manipulation? As we explore the depths of trust and betrayal, we can uncover strategies to build resilience and foster more authentic connections. Charisma is often seen as a desired trait, an asset in social interactions that can open doors and create connections. However, when charisma is wielded as a weapon, it transforms into a dangerous tool for manipulation. Think of charismatic leaders who have led people astray. Jim Jones, for instance, could captivate his followers with his charm. His ability to inspire loyalty and devotion led to the tragic event known as the Jonestown Massacre, where over 900 people died due to his influence. The duality of charisma lies in its power to charm and deceive simultaneously. While some use their charisma for good, others exploit it to further their agendas, often with devastating consequences. A study conducted by the University of Southern California found that individuals with high levels of charisma could manipulate others effectively, often without them realizing it. This manipulation can manifest in many ways, from political figures swaying public opinion to everyday relationships where one person dominates the narrative through charm. The dark side of charisma employs techniques like mirroring, where a manipulative person reflects the behaviors and emotions of others to create an illusion of empathy. This mirroring can lead victims to believe they are understood and valued, drawing them closer to the manipulator while obscuring their ulterior motives. The impact of charismatic manipulation can be profound, often leaving individuals questioning their self-worth and judgment. The relationship between charisma and manipulation prompts us to ask, how can we discern authentic charm from manipulative tactics? As we delve deeper into the psychology of charisma, we can learn how to strengthen our emotional intelligence and recognize the signs of manipulative charm before it's too late. Moreover, understanding the roots of charisma can help us cultivate it for positive purposes, rather than allowing it to become a tool for coercion. Seduction is often romanticized in literature and film, seen as an alluring dance between attraction and intimacy. However, when seduction crosses into manipulation, it can lead to devastating emotional consequences. The fine line between seduction and manipulation is intricately linked to intentions. Consider the notorious case of Robert Durst, a real estate heir with a chilling history of manipulating and seducing individuals into trust, only to betray them with tragic outcomes. His charm and charisma concealed dark motives, showing how seductive powers can conceal harmful intentions. Seductive manipulation often employs techniques that include flattery, emotional connection, and the art of misdirection. Victims may find themselves entranced, believing they are in a loving relationship, only to discover they have been trapped in a web of emotional exploitation. The psychological concept of intermittent reinforcement, a technique where positive reinforcement is given sporadically, plays a crucial role in seduction. By providing affection or attention unpredictably, manipulators create an addictive dynamic that keeps victims craving more. This unpredictability can lead to a cycle of emotional highs and lows, making it challenging for individuals to break free from the relationship, even if it's toxic. Research from the University of Oregon highlights how seduction can effectively exploit emotional vulnerabilities. The victims, often feeling isolated or insecure, become more susceptible to practices of manipulation. While seduction can be a natural part of human relationships, understanding the psychology behind it is essential. How can we differentiate genuine attraction from manipulative seduction? By reflecting on our motivations and the behaviors of others, we can better navigate romantic and platonic relationships. Recognizing the signs of manipulative seduction can empower us to stand firm in our emotional truths and create healthier connections. Imagine waking up every day not knowing if your feelings are legitimate or if they are just figments of someone else's imagination. Gaslighting, a term derived from the 1944 film Gaslight, refers to a form of psychological manipulation that seeks to make an individual doubt their reality or perceptions. In the realm of modern workplaces, gaslighting is not just a personal issue, it is a systemic problem that affects productivity, mental health, and overall workplace dynamics. According to a report by the Workplace Bullying Institute, 60% of bullying in workplaces is rooted in psychological manipulation, including gaslighting. This number is staggering, revealing how prevalent such toxic behaviors are in environments that should foster growth and collaboration. Take the case of Melanie, a marketing manager who found herself trapped in a gaslighting nightmare. Initially praised for her innovative ideas, Melanie's boss slowly began to undermine her contributions. He would publicly claim credit for her work and then later criticize her for being unoriginal. In meetings, he often dismissed her suggestions and framed them as impractical, despite former praise. What made it worse was that he would later approach her in private, saying, "You know, I value your opinion, but maybe it's just me who sees things differently." This tactic blurred Melanie's reality, making her question her competence and sanity. The psychological toll took a considerable toll on her health. She experienced anxiety attacks, insomnia, and a declining sense of self-worth. Research suggests that victims of gaslighting can develop symptoms similar to PTSD, as they're constantly in a state of hyper-awareness towards their environment, wary of their own perceptions. Unfortunately, Melanie's story is not unique. Many employees feel trapped in gaslighting scenarios, often unsure of how to escape. So, how do organizations and individuals combat this insidious tactic? Recognizing the signs is a crucial first step. Employees must be aware of manipulation patterns, such as constant denial of their experiences or the minimization of their emotions. Encouraging open communication within teams fosters a culture where such behaviors can be addressed before they escalate. Companies should implement policies against psychological manipulation and provide training for both employees and managers on emotional intelligence. Creating a safe environment where employees can voice concerns without fear is paramount. Support groups within workplaces can also help share experiences and strategies to cope with manipulation. Melanie, fortunately, found solace in a peer group that helped her reclaim her narrative and regain her confidence. Awareness and education are the keys to dismantling gaslighting tactics prevalent in modern workplaces. As we move toward a more collaborative workplace culture, it's imperative to keep questioning our perspectives and supporting one another. But as we explore the world of dark psychology, the question arises: how do these manipulative tactics affect interpersonal relationships outside of the workplace? When we think of addiction, our minds often drift towards substances like alcohol, drugs, or gambling. However, there's another side to addiction that is rarely discussed: the psychological manipulation that can lead individuals into the throes of dependency. Dark psychology tactics play a role in this process, creating cycles of dependency that can be extraordinarily difficult to break. Consider the case of James, a young man who faced the dual challenge of addiction and emotional manipulation from his closest friend, Tom. While initially supportive, Tom showcased traits of dark psychology by subtly undermining James's self-esteem. He often said, "You're nothing without me," framing their relationship as a lifeline. James, who struggled with low self-worth, started to believe that he needed Tom not just to feel valued but also to navigate life. This dependency led James to engage in risky behaviors, including substance abuse, in order to maintain Tom's approval. Statistics indicate that emotional manipulation can significantly escalate the risk of addiction. A study published in the Journal of Substance Abuse Treatment found that individuals with lower self-esteem are more likely to develop substance abuse issues. The link between emotional instability and maladaptive coping strategies highlights the importance of mental health support in preventing addiction. The dark psychological tactics employed by manipulators often mirror the dynamics of addiction. They create environments of isolation and dependency, much like the cycles seen in substance abuse cases. For instance, emotional blackmail, where one party uses guilt or fear to control another, is found frequently in relationships that precede addiction. This creates a feedback loop, where the victim feels compelled to engage in addictive behaviors to escape the emotional turmoil inflicted upon them. Breaking free from this cycle requires a concerted effort. Like any addiction, the first step is acknowledgement. James finally